Welcome to Back to the Father, a show about the journey of life focused on our final end, which is God Himself, our loving Father. And now, here's your host, Dave Palmer.
And welcome, everybody, to this edition of Back to the Father. I'm told by Jonathan von Weber-Hansberg that this is our 10th ever social media Back to the Father. That's hard to believe that we've done that many. Is that really true?
Yeah.
You went back and counted, or just kind of keeping a little tally, or how do you know that?
Each title has, the 10, or the number of the episode.
Oh, is that okay? Okay. I guess I should pay better attention, shouldn't I, to the show? Okay. Well, thank you for keeping track of that. Great to see everybody. This is a show where we take a particular aspect of St. Thomas Aquinas' teaching of the Summa Theologia, and we unpack it. We try to have fun. We always start off wearing hats for the first few minutes of the show. This is something that Sissel Anderson, who is making her triumphant return, I might add. I'm only going to wear this chicken hat for a second or two, but this hat, Sissel introduced 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and it is taken on a life of its own in our studio. Everybody that comes in, for some reason, wants to know why we have a chicken hat in the studio, and
that's a really weird question. I don't know why they would ask that.
But Sissel likes to say, why would you not have a chicken hat in the studio, right?
Exactly, honestly. And hey, people coming in here sometimes, they're a little bit nervous about an interview because Dave's so intimidating, and it just breaks the tension. Chicken hat.
You ever seen the rubber chicken?
Yeah,
like the comedians
oh my goodness,
use?
those are hysterical.
I bought a rubber chicken one time, and I thought, why not? Everybody ought to have a rubber chicken. So anyways, so we wear hats, and Jonathan really let me down because I said, Jonathan, before the show started, do you have a hat today? And he says,
it's my banjo playing and fishing hat.
But this is before he actually was wearing it, and I thought, wow, banjo playing fishing hat. This is like some genre of hat that would be really cool. And then he comes in with this thing,
it's a cool
and I'm
hat.
like, dude, that's just a baseball cap. It doesn't even
Oak.
say anything about banjos or fishing. Is Mossy Oak, is that a fishing company?
I don't know. They're just cool.
Yeah. All right, whatever. I'll play along.
No.
So, all right, so. And then Sissel has completely run out of ideas because she's now recycling hats.
I have more hats. I just am out of practice. When you go out of town for a week, you come back broken and you forget what you're supposed to do. And I had a hat I could bring in and I didn't.
Wait, didn't you guys make a bet where you would never?
Yes, I know.
Hats?
It's through June, wasn't it?
It was something like that. But I still have like 3 or 4 hats I haven't used.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm fine technically. I just wasn't with it this morning.
The hat, though,
I did reuse the hat.
You lost the competition.
And Sissel was not with us last week. She went to the Shrine of Our Lady Guadalupe in Mexico City. And I thought for sure, sombrero, something with
You're
our
just disappointed with our hats today, aren't you?
I'm
So,
sorry.
Can I
you
explain
tell?
myself?
I mean, look how hard I tried to be creative for recycling a hat from 2 weeks ago.
All right. Can I explain real quick? We were in Mexico for 6 days. There were lots of amazing hats I could have gotten. I spent a lot of time, first off, shopping for other people, so much so that we had to buy a whole other suitcase just to bring souvenirs home
is that right?
for other
Yeah.
people. And I was like, there is no way I can get one of these fabulous sombreros or colorful big hats into this suitcase. So I basically would have to wear it through the airport. And I really didn't feel like squishing in a middle seat on an airplane with a sombrero on.
Okay, fair enough.
So
All
I
right.
had my reasons.
I'm going to enter into anger management, and it's okay. Okay, now Diane doesn't wear a hat. That's okay. Okay,
But
I'm
just
going to get
wanna
over
thank-
this.
I want to thank Sissel so much for the gifts she
See?
gave us. I got a beautiful keychain with the 7, forgive me, but all the archangels, and I really needed it because I had a powerful story. Remember, Dave, when I lost my key fog?
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
it took like 8, it got stuck in the car somewhere after I parked when I came to work. It took like 8 men to scramble through my car. Nobody could find it.
Mm-hmm.
And then somebody eventually found it after doing a deep clean at the car wash. And then next week, and then Kent in the studio, when I told him, I found my car fog, he put it like a black rubber band around. He's like, here, you use this. Well, next week, the Monday, Sissel returns from Mexico City after visiting the shrine. She's like, here, I got a gift for you. You can choose between the image of Our Lady Guadalupe and this keychain. And I thought, perfect.
Because her
Wow.
keys will never go missing again now.
That's right, because
I'll
you
have
got
the
all the.
protection.
And I didn't realize, and this ties into a previous show that we've done. The archangels, I always thought that there were only 3 that were named, Gabriel, Michael, and Raphael, but your chain has other archangels
All the
named on it.
archangels
Isn't
named
like
Uriel,
Yes.
how do you say it?
Yeah.
But I wonder where that comes from, because I don't think that's in Scripture, is it?
Yes,
Well,
we need to do some research on that.
Yeah,
Well,
where do those
actually,
names come from?
I don't know, but I actually bought a book on the archangels, but I think it was like a general Christian book on the archangels because they refer to like Saint Michael the Archangel as Michael the Archangel, something like that. You know, not Catholic sounding. So, but and it had all like Uriel on there and all the archangels. So
Okay,
Some
interesting.
research will have to be done.
Whereas angels, correct me if I'm wrong, are any of those named? Do we have a name?
I
of
can't think of one.
No,
Are
I
there
can't.
any? It's funny because they're the ones that are closest to us. We all have an angel. Not supposed to name them. You know, we talked about that before. But why is it that the archangels get names but the angels don't?
well, is Cupid an angel?
I think that's more
Wasn't he a god? I
Kinda-
thought he was a Greek god or something.
Cupid. No,
Yeah.
no. Cupid. Well, Cupid. No, Cupid was like the little angel that shot the arrow.
look
But I
at
don't
it.
know. I think that's more kind of like folklore or something. I don't know that
Right,
that's
right.
anything of a religious nature, but
I
because
need to do
there's
more
there's
research into that.
cupidity, you know, which
Yeah.
is like a vice or something. Cupidity. All right. Well,
Aha, he
that's,
is. He's the ancient Roman god of love. I was right.
Oh, is that right?
Jonathan just wants to make sure.
All right.
Just so you'll know I'm right.
Jonathan's on the ball. All right, so Jonathan Van Weber, Hansberg is here, Diane Xavier's here, Sissel is back from Guadalupe. Get a couple of thoughts, just takeaways from your time in Guadalupe. In fact, I did an interview with Sissel and her sister and her brother, which is going to air tomorrow at 3:10 p.m. on KTH 910 a.m., our North Texas Guadalupe Radio Network station. Couple of things real quickly before we get to that. First of all, if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, we love your participation. Buddy has already commented a couple of times. Great to see you, Buddy. Thank you for your comments. The main topic today is going to be the theological virtues, which I'm really excited to talk about because they absolutely tie into the whole theme of the show of Back to the Father, living our lives, returning to our loving Father, the theological virtues. We literally can't do it without them. What is a theological virtue? How is it distinguished from the cardinal virtues, the intellectual virtues, the moral virtues, all that kind of stuff? So we'll be talking about that in a moment. But anyways, welcome. If you want to call in, we love calls, 877-757-9424, otherwise known as 888.
Oh, Dave.
Oh, okay. Never mind. That's was not my best moment. We were at a live remote earlier this week, and I was giving out the wrong phone number, asking people to call in and buy tickets, and we weren't getting any calls, and Diane couldn't
Amazingly.
understand, and then Sissel realized I was giving out the wrong phone number. So 877-757-9424. So, all right, Sissel, Mexico City, Shrine of Our
Yes.
Lady of Guadalupe. Main takeaways. Of course, I already know because I interviewed you already.
Right. Well,
but, I'm playing dumb.
Well, I haven't heard. So
Yeah, there you go, Jonathan. I'll talk to Jonathan. It was only Jonathan. It was absolutely incredible. I have first off never left the country, so that was a big deal. And I getting to go to this amazing holy site that is really only like a 2-hour plane ride away from where we are here in Dallas, and just I don't know, you go into the shrine and there's mass going on, but they have like a very interesting little system where you go on conveyor belts underneath where everyone's celebrating mass, so you can look up at the image, and you're just kind of like, oh my gosh, that's the Toma, that's the actual one, because you've seen so many beautiful replicas of it, but then seeing it in person, you're just like, oh my goodness. And surprisingly, it's still pretty vibrant in my mind, you know, for being as old as it is. And just the whole complex of the shrine is amazing. You can just see the history of when they first built chapels to honor the Our Lady's visit there until the current one where popes have celebrated Mass, JP2 and St. Francis. I'm sorry, not St. Francis, Pope Francis. I mixed that up. I said, didn't give a saint in front of JP2 and gave one in front of Pope Francis. So it just was, I don't know, it's very rich in history. And it was just really beautiful to see how it's just really a symbol for the whole country, honestly. The whole country has such a patronage to her. You'll be going to a gas station there and you'll see Our Lady of Guadalupe images over the doorways or something. You know,
see it a lot here too.
You do. You see it a lot
Anywhere
here.
where there's a big Hispanic, Mexican population, you're going to see that a lot.
So
you said something that really struck me is that this is the actual one,
Right.
Because we see,
We
right,
have one
right
behind
behind
me,
you,
you
you
can
can
kinda
see it
see.
on the screen, and we've all seen, the hundreds, if not thousands, of these images all over the place, but that's the one. It's kind of like having posters of some person that you really love or you're a fan of. And
Trent Horn.
you got
Don't worry, I don't have
if you got to
posters.
mention Trent Horn every show.
Yeah,
What
probably.
was I saying that last time? I said it's somebody you really like, Trent Horn. But and then you actually meet him and you're like, well, this is the actual person. This isn't a picture of him or and that's got to be pretty cool. That's the actual Tilma that Juan Diego wore 500 years ago.
it's really hard to
Amazing.
wrap your mind around. That's why you have to go around on the conveyor belts like 5 times. You just run around the building and come around again. They really got their system down to keep people moving.
So describe the Tilma like in real life? What was it to see it in real life?
It was, it's about 10, 15 feet above you, and it's in a frame, and it's hard. I don't know, Diana. I don't even know if I can describe in words. You just stare at it for a while and you're like, I'm looking at a miracle that happened. And that's something that, Juan Diego touched. That's something Our Lady put there. And it just really just makes you, you're like, I don't know if I want to pray, if I want to, just stare at it, or if I want to take a picture. So it's just kind of just breathtaking,
Yeah.
Do
honestly.
you think? Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Do you think that pictures like that do it justice? Or
Actually, some pictures do, some pictures don't. I think some of them have been like a little bit warped. But there are a couple, I think there's a few that have been like exact replicas that have been made, right? That are like in certain churches across the world that are pretty good. But nothing does justice to like standing in front of the real one.
true.
And what I don't understand is because it's so big.
Yeah.
We had a life-size replica. I don't know if you remember that, Diane, brought into our old studio that one time, and I actually smelt the roses kind of miraculously while it was there. But it's so big, and I'm thinking, how did he wear this? Like, was there like, no, seriously, was it like a sandwich board kind of thing? Like, what's a Tilma? Is there a hole in the top that you pull over you, or how do you wear that?
I believe, from my understanding, when we were talking about like the historical aspect of it, I'm pretty sure it is kind of like a giant poncho looking thing. And yeah, it is pretty large. But maybe Juan Diego was really tall. I don't know. I'm not entirely
He was
sure.
7'3".
Exactly.
He played center for the
Yes, for the
Aztecs.
Yeah.
He wasn't an Aztec, was he? Okay, so all right. Well,
I just want to
awesome.
say one last thing. Now that with Sissel's experience, she's encouraged me to take like pilgrimages, like in the future.
Yeah.
So that's
Pilgrimages
my
are a
plan.
lot of fun.
Yeah.
They
And
are.
I was going to say, but this would be kind of rubbing it in on Sissel. I was going to say one of the cool things about pilgrimages is all the people you meet and all the fellow pilgrims. But she was there; they were the only pilgrims. It was,
Our
she and
tour
her-
group was just
Yeah.
my siblings and I.
which
That's kinda cool, though.
get a lot of
Oh,
attention.
yeah, absolutely.
You have
Absolutely.
to, yeah. So that's pretty cool. But that's awesome that you went and then Tova, her sister, won it at a Guadalupe Radio Network event a couple years ago. All right, let me move on. Again, thanks everybody who's watching. We'd love to hear from you. Buddy wants somebody to do the chicken dance with the chicken hat on.
I volunteer.
Okay. Next week, Sissel's going to do that. Okay,
Great.
she's got
Fantastic.
to prepare. But okay. All right. So I challenged everybody last week to do the away a day. All right. Now Sissel is okay because she wasn't here. So, but you probably heard it as you were watching,
I
right?
fell asleep.
I wasn't exactly bombarded with pictures, okay?
I'm
but
working
the
on it.
whole thing with Away a Day is that we find something in the created world every day or once a week or every couple of days that shows us that God's in control and shows us that God's majesty and God's beauty, okay? I'm kind of like addicted to this, and so I'm going to just kind of show you the ones that I got this week. It's all based on this quote from the Summa Theologia. If you're watching at home, you can see that Thomas basically says every creature tells us something about God, and all of them together kind of reveal different aspects of God. It's pretty amazing. And so I went about this week and I found things. Now, the first one is going to freak Sissel out because
no.
just the other day, and you saw it,
I
okay?
did, I
There it
did.
is, cockroach. So I want you to tell me, okay, other than the fact that these are pretty much universally despised creatures and everybody thinks they're horrible, what is the good of a cockroach? Okay,
Can't die.
because it can't
It'll
die.
survive anything.
Yeah.
That's not true. yeah, you've never seen a dead cockroach? I see them
They're
down
very
the bathroom all the
nutritious
time.
for leopard geckos.
Okay.
That's a very specific fact.
I know,
Yes.
that was very specific. No, do you know that they are natural recyclers? Like if a dog dies or there's a banana peel on the side of the road.
That's a good image with a cockroach eating a dead dog.
This is making me love them more.
No, I mean, but something's got to get rid of it, right? I mean, you don't want
Right.
like piles of dead dogs lying all over the place. I mean, seriously. So what do they do? They recycle, because if they wasn't for cockroaches, they eat pretty much anything. Okay,
Yeah.
if there's some trash or some garbage or whatever, we got to get rid of it somehow, right? Did you know, and this is really interesting, they have studied the cockroach leg. Is really intricate and really well designed. They're very fast. They move well. And then, like when they're making prosthetic legs, they've actually used designs of cockroach legs
Wow.
to see like the mechanics of movement and things like that. Now do you
That's
like
cool.
cockroaches? Come on, Sissel.
If you ever get a prosthetic
you a
leg,
believer?
Sissel, then you're gonna have a cockroach leg.
I could get a cockroach leg. David's kind of felt badly because I have been trying to like look out for something I can post in this community. And just today I saw a dead cockroach in the bathroom and I was like, would it be bad if I posted?
Yeah.
That would not-
This one was alive.
This one was alive.
And I didn't.
He took it outside.
I didn't kill it.
It almost
I-
ended up in my sister's purse, but it's okay.
That's right. And so the cockroaches are actually pretty cool. And so they also, and this is true, they like to be touched and they can be trained. They actually are.
So I can have a pet cockroach is what I'm
Yes.
hearing.
All right. The next one is one I saw at home, and this is a jumping spider.
Oh no.
Okay.
Oh,
Have you ever
okay.
experienced a jumping spider?
Yes, several times.
Have you? Do you know what's unique about them?
They jump.
What else? They don't build webs.
Really?
Okay?
What do they do then?
What are spiders good for? Because
Nothing.
most people hate
They eat
spiders. They
flies.
think they're creepy. You got to admit those webs that most spiders make are pretty
They
amazing.
They are amazing. They kill flies.
Yeah, there you
So
go.
that's-
There's
They-
several
those-
other things that can perform that function.
Okay,
Well,
yes,
and
yeah,
not be
yeah.
horrible.
But I'm not super. As long as it's not a massive, scary spider. If there's like spiders in my windows or something like that at home, I'll leave them because we get flies in our house, and I appreciate the spiders' help.
And how many spiders in North America are actually venomous?
Not like 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, two.
Two.
I mean, there's two of them.
It's
It's
not-
it's the black widow and the brown recluse.
Yep.
And they're both reclusive spiders. Neither of them are running around looking for people. I mean, the brown recluse got its name because they're hard to find. I've never seen a brown recluse in the wild. I've seen black widows. So the two venomous spiders out there are both reclusive, and they don't. So God didn't, create some crazy nutsoid spider that goes
Australia,
around
I don't
chased- yeah. Australia is a whole different thing. So, all right. So those are let's see what else. Okay, a couple more here. I want to show you. Let me get to the next one because I found some cool stuff. These are all things I actually found this week. These are real pictures. This isn't just like stock photos. Can you see what that is? The dragonfly?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So what are dragonflies good for other than being amazingly beautiful? Aren't they just like
They are really pretty.
Aren't they eat
but they're
mosquito
like
larvae?
so jittery. You can never like stop and look at one because I mean, they're even if they stop and you go up, they're gone again.
Yeah,
and they're so
they don't
fast.
stand
And
still.
eh,
I actually don't know what dragonflies do.
I think they pollinate and they eat mosquito larvae, right? Or just mosquitoes.
yeah, in fact,
I'd appreciate that.
let me
Yeah,
see if
that'd be
anybody is guessing what's good about dragonflies. A couple of things. They eat up to 100 mosquitoes a day.
Hey, yeah.
Whoa! I need to get a few pets.
We need some more of those.
And they're also skinny. It's like, how do you fit
100 mosquitoes?
But that's like on a big day,
Yeah,
On a big day.
That's on Thanksgiving.
But that's good because if we had too many mosquitoes, then we'd have a lot of diseases and malaria and West Nile and all that stuff. So they're good for that. Also, do you realize that the companies like Bell Helicopter and what else? What Raytheon or what's the other big manufacturer of weaponry here in North
Stark
Texas?
Industries.
No, it's a big one. What is it? My buddy of mine works for them. I forget
Lockheed
it.
Martin?
Lockheed Martin, yeah. They've actually studied dragonflies
What?
because of their flying techniques. I mean, they're amazing flyers. Okay, so do you think that Wilbur and Orville Wright would have ever invented an airplane had there not been birds and flying insects? They probably wouldn't have even thought of it, right?
No, it's true. That is true. Imagine the first time the first dragonfly saw the first helicopter. Imagine how
Hey, wait
trippy
a
that must have been.
That's
Hey, you stole my idea.
yeah. So I mean,
But-
so the way they fly, of course, they probably have to slow it down quite a bit. But so, anyways, all this kind of stuff. When I see how this all fits into the big picture and how everything it makes sense, it's kind of like a symphony. You look at a symphony and you see all these different instruments, and the music sounds beautiful, but every single one is important. It's contributing something to the big picture, right? It really makes me, it eases, gives me calm. Let's just say that. All right, Saturday morning, I pour a cup of coffee. I go out on my front porch, and this is no joke. Okay, I just said, God, let something come to me. Okay, I'm trying to do this way a day thing, and do you see the picture here? Is it up there yet?
Yeah.
Oh, is that a bumblebee?
This fly.
Oh, it's a fly.
Lands
Sorry.
that's my coffee cup. He lands on my coffee cup, and I'm like, dude,
Interesting fact.
You're making it easy on me, pal.
My town, Anna, regularly gets infested by flies. The entire town, no matter where you are, no matter what state of life you're in, you could be a rich guy living in a mansion or whatever. You just get
Quit talking about me, will you?
infested, just get infested with this swarm of flies, and we're undergoing that right now, and it's awful.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you know where I'm going with this, and this is a no-brainer. First of all, flies, you got to admit, you may hate them, they're pests, but they are beautiful. I mean, those eyes, those compound
No,
eyes
they
they
are
have.
really interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, even this one that you look at right now, if you were to zoom in on that, I mean, they are fascinating creatures. And what do they do to help the big picture? What's the purpose of flies? What's,
I would love to know, what is the purpose
I
of
know what they
flies?
do.
one of them's kind of gross.
They just
Yeah, I
they
know
clean
that.
up stuff.
Yeah,
Right.
well, poo.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you ever seen? I
Yes,
know. I
yes,
don't mean
I
to
have, I
descend
have.
into. But this is the. Do you know that they do? They lay their eggs on poo, and then the larvae maggots are born and start chomping away at it. How else would we get rid of all the poo out there? I mean, think about it. God,
It's a terrible job. Someone's got to do it.
I mean, yeah, but that's really true. And also, going back to my dead dog or dead raccoon, if that thing isn't picked up by pest control, what's going to happen? It's not going to just sit there and the maggots and the flies and the cockroaches and all that stuff. God's got a plan. He takes care of this stuff, right? So somebody's got to do it, right? And so, anyways, flies are pretty cool. Okay, you got a couple more here for you.
Okay.
You know what kind of flowers those are? I was
Wait,
I was
can't see
impressed.
'em. I can't see 'em yet.
Oh, you can't see them?
think I know what those are.
Excuses, excuses.
I want to make a
Those
guess.
are,
I don't know very
it
little
probably
bit
shows
about flowers.
Sissel's getting very impatient there.
I am.
Which I just gave you a very big hint as to what
Ooh,
flower
ooh.
it
I know
is.
what they are.
Do you? Anybody want to guess at home? What are these, and how do they contribite to the
What are
the,
those?
the
Oh,
big
I know
picture of
those.
all this?
Are they periwinkles?
I just gave you a great hint. I said
You said-
Sissel's getting very impatient and waiting. They're called impatiens.
Really?
Oh, I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
You've never heard of impatient?
I'm terrible with flowers, Dave.
Yeah, but you're going to get better.
I
we're gonna
am,
be
'cause I'm
showing
gonna be
these, okay?
learning.
And let's see, 391,000 species of vascular plants. 370,000 of them are flowering plants.
Whoa.
390,000 species.
Goodness.
Isn't that crazy?
Could you even ever become an expert on that?
I know.
That sounds crazy.
You'd have to study like 100 of them a day.
I know.
mean, and anyways, I mean, if God had only created roses, I would have been, that's like they're pretty cool, except for the thorn part. 390,000.
Wow.
All right. So again, everything contributes. Okay. Here's a one I actually have been going around town this week trying to find an opportunity to take a picture of this, which is a sunflower, because these things are so cool. Other than being
love
awesome, they
sunflowers.
track the sun.
Yes.
Do you know
Or
what
I'm gonna
else?
flex again about my fantastic town. We actually just have fields of these sprawling all over the place.
What?
So,
Is that right?
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Boy, you really you
Apparently,
like,
Dave needs to go to Anna.
yeah. But so for the flies and the sunflowers, right?
Yes.
Okay, fly infestation and sunflowers. But okay, a couple of cool facts about sunflowers. They track the sun, right?
Yeah.
So they move. And did you know? Of course, they get sunflower seeds. You guys like sunflower seeds?
I
Oh,
love
yeah.
them.
Yeah. And they produce an oil. That's a soothing oil. And did you know that people have used, that once that big sunflower dies, they use it as a scrubber. You can
Really?
almost use it like to
Oh,
to
like
take-
a kind of like a loofah,
yeah,
like the original loofah, basically.
Yeah. So I mean, God's like,
Wow.
okay, I'm gonna create this thing. Oh, the tallest sunflower ever. Guess how tall?
Oh, I think I heard
The
about
sunflower
this.
plant.
Was
Take
it
a guess.
30, I think, 30 feet. something like
Yeah.
that? Yeah.
Man, how did you know that?
That's
I heard about it.
crazy.
30 feet tall. I mean, that is like as tall as a
Insane.
building.
Wow. Buddy, by the way, commented that maggots are used in the medical field to help heal.
Yeah,
another
because
handy.
they'll eat bad stuff, right? Yeah, that's in the old days. They used to, like if somebody was getting gangrene or something, they would put maggots on it. Yeah, thank you, buddy. That's a great comment. That's so true. I'll tell you, this is you guys have got to bring something next week.
I
okay?
actually
have something.
I can't do all the heavy lifting.
Okay,
here,
I will.
Okay?
I actually
just
remember something.
one. Just
I
bring
will.
one.
Just next week. I could do it next week. Yeah, I have something from Mexico, a picture I took in Mexico that I think is something that has a lot of beautiful things behind it too.
All right.
I can't.
Does
really
it count
take
if I do it a
pictures
week,
of mine,
of 2 weeks later?
Yeah, well, that's okay. We'll
Okay,
allow that.
we'll allow that
okay.
one. Okay.
And if you're wondering, like, hey, I thought this was a show about Aquinas. This is all about St. Thomas Aquinas because this has to do with the providence of God. It has to do with the fifth proof of the existence of God, which is divine governance. It's like all this stuff. It's working in concert together to guide all things to their final end. It's pretty amazing. All right, final one. I saw this in the bathroom the other day. I know there's a little bit of a delay for getting up on the screens here. I go into the bathroom and, not too TMI, but go to the bathroom and I see on the floor, I'm like, wow, there it is. There's my way of day.
It's peaches.
Do you see it?
Yes.
Isn't that cool?
are cool.
For about 2 months there was one in the girls' bathroom here at work, and
What was it? A gecko?
it's
Yeah.
a baby gecko, and I named it Peaches. So I don't know if that's Peaches' younger
yeah,
sister or
it looks,
something.
it's kind of a peach color. It
It
might
is.
be.
That's why I
yeah.
named it Peaches.
All right, cool facts about geckos, and I'll tell you one funny joke that a friend of mine said here in a moment. So, what's cool about geckos? They could like the animals, they can lose their tails in escaping. They store fat in their tail. They can stick with their little hands. They can stick to anything in the world except one thing. What is
Human.
Human
Water.
skin.
no, they can
no.
stick. No, that's a good guess
Water-
though.
water?
It's
It's scaring me.
no, you know what it is? Yeah, once I say it, you'll say, "Oh, okay, that kind of makes sense."
Hair.
Teflon. Because that's the whole point of Teflon is so that things don't stick to it,
That's
right?
really funny.
Including the gecko.
Wow, the gecko met their match.
And so, and again, when they're trying to create things like stick things, or probably like those 3M sticky pads, and I mean, they study these kind of creatures, like how do geckos stick to everything, right? And as my friend said, okay, anything else cool about geckos other than they're just amazing? Anything else?
the spokesperson for Geico.
Oh, exactly. My friend said they save you 15% of your
Yeah,
auto
I was gonna
insurance.
say they 15% or more on auto insurance.
Okay. All right. So let's move on. And you guys, Sissel's going to bring one next week.
I will.
Jonathan, you said you brought one this week or
Well,
what?
I can't really take a picture of it because it's.
It's from the town of Anna.
no. Oh, it's so it was just ant queens.
Oh,
we
yeah.
talked
you
about
found ant
so
queens?
I
Ants are
just-
fascinating.
Yeah, ants are really cool. I couldn't
Yeah.
really get a picture of an ant queen because I have to like go destroy a nest and dig through a bajillion ants to get a queen out. But I just like how the entire colony is focused towards serving and protecting the queen.
Yeah.
It's just that I thought that was neat. Like
It's almost kind of like a God thing.
Yeah, like
you
a God
mean?
sort of thing, yeah,
Yeah.
like
It's
it
all
just-
focused on one
one sole
being.
purpose.
Yeah, one, in that case, one creature.
There
And
was
their whole lives are focused on that one thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I watched a random documentary about bees, and there was a particular type of bee I want to say, or it might have been a wasp. Apologies if I got it wrong, but there was like a queen bee that once like her usefulness was let up, they like
yeah,
killed her
yeah.
and they'd like throw her out, and I'm like, oh, that's
ants-
is that
awful.
right?
Ants
That's
will
like
do
being
that too.
sacrificed. You'd like ancient times they would sacrifice someone, then for like a year they might live this certain lifestyle, and then they just get
Then they kill it.
kill them.
Well, it shows like utilitarianism. As soon as they're not useful to them,
Yep.
they're like, all right, you're out of here. We're dead.
Bye.
Hey, there's some things, and this is an interesting conversation. There's some things in nature that I don't quite understand. Like, you ever seen how like a cat will catch a lizard or a mouse and they'll just jack with it?
Yeah.
And they'll and I remember gosh, it was crazy. I saw this cat one time caught a lizard, and then it let it run away a little bit. Then it go and it pounce on it, and then it would let it run,
Teasing.
and it was teasing it. And finally, I'm like, get your, and I was like, why did God allow creatures to do things that? Because then they don't even eat it. They're
Yeah.
just absolutely jacking with it, teasing it, and killing it. And then that sometimes they'll bring it to their owners and they'll look like what I've got.
Oh
and,
my gosh.
And you're like, wow, that's interesting that
Cats are jerks.
there's something.
They're not jerks.
Sorry.
Come on.
But there are other examples.
Yeah.
The Black Widow, once she mates
Oh,
with her
yeah.
mate, doesn't she
Yeah.
kill him?
I think she does. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brutal.
I know.
Brutal.
I know. But absolutely fascinating, and I'm becoming kind of obsessed with all this stuff, and so I'll bring 7 more next week. You
All
guys
right,
just bring bring one. Okay, Diane, you can bring one.
You don't want 7 from me.
You can do 7 if you
No,
want.
I'm joking.
So, all right. So we're talking about, you probably wouldn't realize it, but we're talking about the theological virtues today. And so let's get to that. And then the last 10 minutes of the show, we do trivia and ask each other fun questions. Okay. And again, if you are watching out there on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, we love you to participate, ask questions. You can call in if you want and be on the air with us, 877-757-9424. So first of all, we asked the question, what is a virtue? Have we talked about this before in this program?
I think we did.
think we have,
what is
yes. Do we
yeah,
remember?
Yeah,
No.
we did, but
Joking.
we don't pretty much remember anything you talk about in this show. No. Okay, so I have a picture of a homeless man on the screen there, right? Let's say you walk by and you give him some money. Okay, you give him a hamburger, a fillet of fish, sandwich, or what have you. Okay, are you virtuous for doing that? Would you say that was virtue, what you just did?
I'd say it is, yeah. Doesn't
Yeah?
necessarily mean that you're a good virtuous person, but I think that was virtue.
A virtuous act.
Yeah.
Because it's having a moral standard, right? Like having or is that kind of roughly what we're going with?
Yeah, I loved how the confidence was like.
As soon as you look at me, I'm like,
so,
no.
So I was like, I think
this
I'm
is
going
not-
there.
No. Well, yeah. So I mean, I would say, yeah, like Jonathan said, I don't know if necessarily that makes the guy a virtuous person, but it was a virtuous thing to do.
Okay. Well,
Inspired by
a virtue is a habit. Okay. So a virtue can't be one act. Okay. So if I go up and I help this guy, I've done a good act. But if it's kind of in me that I always have the inclination to help people, then I'm virtuous. Okay. It's like you say, you wake up at 5:30 one morning and exercise and eat a good breakfast and get off to,
I do that every morning.
That doesn't mean you don't have that virtue. It just means you did it once.
Got it,
Some people
okay.
do that. They get up, right on time every single morning.
that.
They've developed a virtue, right? So a virtue has to be a habit. It's like you only have a habit if you don't even think about it. You just do it, right?
What if you have the habit, but like you don't like doing it, if that makes sense? So like, let's say you're always at your friend's house and you should, because you're raised with manners, you're supposed to ask, can I help clean up the dishes from dinner or something like that? But you don't actually want to, but you do it every time. Is that still a virtuous habit?
I would say, yeah, you have
It's
that
'cause
virtue.
you're still doing it,
Yeah,
okay.
you don't have to love it. I mean, it's like somebody could have a virtue of sacrifice where they just always like a mother, let's say, when she hears her child crying in the middle of the night, gets up, gets out there and, helps the child.
Oh.
Doesn't mean she has to say, I'm loving this.
Yeah.
This is so much fun. She doesn't like it, but she's developed that virtue, that habit.
We just actually got a comment that was pretty similar from David L. Gray, who's watching on YouTube, says, does the act of virtue depend on intention? Which is kind of similar. I
Yeah,
guess what I was
that's pretty
saying.
much the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting, and thanks, David, for watching. And I really enjoy your show. I've told that so many times. Well, there's all these different things that have to come together for something to be virtuous. Like something can be a vice or a bad action just because one thing is wrong. I think I've used the example of, and this ties into David's question. A guy puts $20 into the collection basket every Sunday at Mass, right? He does it every single Sunday. But then the reason he's doing it is because there's a girl that sits behind him that he's trying to impress, right? He could care less about the homeless people or the church or supporting, and so that's actually a bad action, even though he's given, or somebody could be praying in front of an abortion clinic or only because, they just, I don't know.
Want other people to see that you're doing
think
it.
that they're really virtuous, and so
Right.
I think intention does matter. But in your case, I mean, it's you have the intention of helping people. It's just that you may not enjoy it,
Enjoying
right?
that moment,
But
right,
it's
right.
not like you're just doing it because you think that they're going to give you money or something. You know?
Right.
So so I think intention would kind of circumstances play into it. Intention, object, that kind of thing. So. Anyways, good question. And let me say this is what Thomas Aquinas says. Virtue denotes a certain perfection of a power. Now, a thing's perfection is considered chiefly in regard to its end. But the end of power is act. Wherefore, power is said to be perfect according that it is determinate to its act. Okay, so if the end is good and and everything lines up, then you have a habitually good action that you're doing all the time. Okay, let me move on to something else, because we're talking about theological virtues in particular. You guys know the cardinal virtues? Like, can you just kind of rattle those
Prudence,
off?
temperance. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
prudence, temperance.
Yeah,
You look at me and
that's-
I just go, oh my gosh. It's fortitude. And what's the last one? Prudence, temperance, fortitude. What am I forgetting? It's probably a really important one. Prudence. They're
So
all
you got
important.
prudence, fortitude,
Temperance.
and
Is purity one of them?
no.
No, what is it?
Let's see if anybody
Uh-oh.
back out.
I clearly need to work on it, whatever it is.
I bet you David L. Gray knows.
Oh, is it patience?
No. I'm going to say it, and you guys are going to say, "Oh, of
Oh
course."
dear.
Okay, let's give everybody 10 seconds to see if they
Google
they
it.
can get it.
Prudence,
And people are
temperance.
probably thinking Palmer doesn't know. Okay,
Fortitude.
it's justice.
Just right when you said, I was like, oh, justice.
Okay, so
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
so
annoying.
prudence, justice, temperance, and fortitude. All right, examples of intellectual virtues. Okay, so and cardinal virtues, by the way, get their name because they're cardinal. They're like hinge virtues. All the other moral virtues basically hinge upon those. So fortitude would something like patience would fall under fortitude. And all the other ones. So intellectual virtues have to do with the mind, the intellect. They perfect our intellect. Okay, I'll rattle off a few of them. Okay, knowledge, understanding, wisdom, art. Okay, so if you are a good artist and you produce good art that's holy and honoring God, then you have the virtue of art. There's some examples of horrible art, of the vice of art, and also prudence is an intellectual virtue and a cardinal virtue. And what's the other one? Prudence, art, wisdom, knowledge, understanding. Okay, so those are some. Moral virtues would be humility, chastity, honesty, obedience. Yeah. Okay. So they're okay. So now we go on to the theological virtues: faith, hope, charity. Everybody knows those, right? So how are they different?
Isn't it that
What's
they're instilled in us, aren't they?
instilled? Well, they're infused.
Sorry,
Infused. Yeah, they're infused. But the moral virtues can be infused. I mean, but theological virtues are always
Because
infused.
we got them at baptism, right?
Yeah. So through sanctifying grace of baptism and that kind of stuff, right? So the other difference, let's see if anybody wants to guess back at home. Let's see. Oh, Buddy said if you are charitable without thinking, then it becomes a virtue. Can you be charitable without thinking? I don't know if that's possible. Is it? And then Buddy said virtue is instinct. I don't know. I think because the virtues are acquired, and so it wouldn't. But he's right though, because and Thomas is going to get at this in a second. Anything that happens for a good end naturally would be in a sense virtuous. So he would say that a bird building a nest or a beaver building a dam, that would, like with a little v, be virtuous. It would be something that happens without something thinking about it. That is ordained to the proper end. But then when you get free will involved, virtue,
Messy.
gets a little bit messy. But listen to this. Do y'all remember? And I don't mean to keep putting y'all on the spot, but I will anyways. I'll give you that condescending look, so that makes you lose confidence.
Don't look at me and I'm fine.
It makes me think about how like my kids think when I look at them. Like, okay, but okay, so. The first time we ever did this show, I talked about the three themes of the Summa. Okay, like in my estimation, were the three main things that kind of summarize. Do y'all remember like one of them, like what it was all about? There was one of one of them was nature. Okay, so there's nature and there's supernature, right? So remember we talked about this. Like there's certain things you can do by nature.
Right.
Okay, I can learn algebra. I can learn geometry. I can learn to build a house by nature, right? Then there's some things that are supernatural that I cannot do on my own, like get to heaven, okay? And the theological virtues would fall into that. They're supernatural. They're not something that I can acquire on my own, right? And then the other one was teleology, which means, God directing all things to their final end. And then epistemology, which had to do with knowledge, right? Remember, we talked about that. Okay, so listen to this in light of that. And also the first article of the Summa talked about the difference between sacred doctrine and philosophy where, let me just read this because this is really cool. Okay, man is perfected by virtue for those actions whereby he is directed to happiness. Now, man's happiness is twofold. One is proportionate to human nature, a happiness which man can obtain by means of his natural principles. Okay, so we can learn to be temperate and not eat 6 pieces of pizza and eat 2, right? We can be, brave and courageous and have fortitude, and that'll make us be happier, okay? And we can acquire those. So, but those are all for natural ends. It's not, getting too overweight or being sick or eating too much, and that's for a natural end. But he says the other is a happiness surpassing man's nature and which man can obtain by the power of God alone, by a kind of participation of the Godhead about which it is written that by Christ we are made partakers of the divine nature. So if we're talking about grace, if we're talking about something that exceeds our nature and brings us above, it's kind of like the talking dog or the chess playing, whatever, aardvark or something. That would be something that would be like out beyond their nature. They can't do it, right? But God, if he wanted to, he could make a beaver, sing, opera songs, right? But that'd be supernatural to them.
Right.
All right. So the whole point here is that the theological virtues are supernatural. They connect us to God, whereas the other virtues don't. The other virtues are making us better people down here. Okay. So if you're prudent or you have temperance or fortitude or justice, you're a good human being, right? But the theological virtues don't just make you a good human being; they make you a supernatural human being. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's because their object is God. They're directly connected to God.
It's like the other ones can help and aid in that, I'm sure, to an extent, but it's really those 3 that you have to.
Yeah. So it's like they're connected because you need to be a good person. And so all these other virtues, it's like last week we talked about the passions, the concupiscible and the irascible. And so if the concupiscible passions are out of whack and you're not ordinate when it comes to eating or drinking or sleeping or sex or, whatever, well, then you need moral virtues to keep those under control.
Right.
And or if you're overly fearful or overly daring or overly angry, and then you need virtues to keep those under control.
Right.
Okay, so you got like this war going on within you where, you have passions and then virtues that help.
Virtues are like, stop.
Yeah, but then if you only stopped there, you would end up at the end of your life like a really good human being.
Right.
But we're called to a supernatural end. And so you're thinking, okay, if God is calling me to a supernatural end, then I can't get there on my own, then I need help. And that's what the theological virtues are. But like Jonathan said, they're infused at baptism, but you would think like, okay, if they're infused at baptism, then every baptized person gets to heaven because they got those virtues, right? But that's not the case because then you have to respond to them, right? But then that's kind of a whole different thing. So anyway, it's pretty cool. That's the difference between theological virtues. And then it says, are they distinct from the intellectual and moral virtues? And he says, habits are specifically distinct from one another in respect of the formal difference of their objects. Now, the object of the theological virtue is God himself, who is the last end of all, as surpassing the knowledge of our reason. On the other hand, the object of the intellectual and moral virtues is something comprehensible to human reason, wherefore the theological virtues are specifically distinct from the moral and intellectual virtues, like we just talked about, okay? All right, so which comes first? I have a picture of a chicken and an egg here.
Depends on which one you ordered on Amazon first.
And Jonathan's going to tell us a story about Anna and all the chickens that they have there, right?
Actually,
He literally was just telling me about that earlier today,
Oh,
Dave.
is that right?
I
A lot
just
of
got
chickens?
some more chickens, yeah.
Okay. I don't know, it made me think of something you probably didn't. Did you hear the thing last week about the proportion numbers between ants and human beings? Did you?
You know what? I think I did it. It was a scary number.
Oh, yeah, there are more chickens than people.
Or, no, there's 1 million ants for every human being, right? So how many and I don't know the answer to this. I wasn't even planning on talking about this, but
I know there are way more than there are people.
okay. So what came first, the chicken or the egg? That's the question that people ask. So what comes first, and second and third between the theological virtues? Do you have
The
hope?
chicken.
Do you have hope
Chicken does.
first? Do you have
Wait.
do you have faith first, or I'm trying to give you a very approving look. Sissel,
Okay,
by the way.
I'm gonna say it's faith, hope, and charity. Mostly because that's when you're praying the rosary and you're doing the first 3 Hail Marys. It's faith, hope, and charity. I don't know if that's right or if that's just me that's always done that.
I
That's
think
my guess.
I think charity is the most important because it's
Yeah,
the one
it
that
is the
lasts
most
forever.
important.
So charity is what? That comes first?
But I think that's the one that's everlasting because you don't need hope and faith once you're in heaven. So, it seems like it's the most
you would have
important.
charity first, and then the charity would create hope and faith in you, or how does that work?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Now he's getting lacking confidence too.
I know.
We're all confused.
I'm trying to look so like approvingly.
I really
and,
like that Jonathan had a good explanation for his. Mine was just that's the order I always prayed them on the rosary.
Yeah, no, that's you're very simplistic.
Yes, yes.
Of it.
I
Yeah.
have a childlike faith.
Okay, so I'm gonna I always think it's kind of cool to read this. And, this is Thomas language, but tell me if it makes sense, because I think it's kind of cool. But I'm going to read, or should I just explain it? Okay, let me kind of explain it, because I think if I start reading it, it might lose some people. But, okay, let's just say for heaven, okay? We want to get to heaven. That's the object of the theological virtues, right? God, beatitude, knowledge of God, right? So would you say if charity is resting in God, hope is desiring God, and faith is knowledge of God, which one do you have to have first of those
Knowledge
three?
of God.
No.
Yeah, because it's kind of like somebody said, did you love your wife or know her first? Or did you hope to marry her? Yeah, I'd be like, yeah, I really
Love at first sight.
no, yeah, but
100%.
can I hope to marry somebody I don't even know? I mean, okay, so Sissel and Jonathan, certainly, you probably don't know your future spouse. Yeah.
Most likely
okay,
not.
let's just
Yeah,
say
yeah.
for argument's sake you don't. So can you love them?
No.
I
Well,
mean, it kind of abstractly.
Yeah.
Yes,
but,
yeah.
But
You pray for them and love
yeah.
them.
And yeah, one day you're married to this wonderful woman, and I don't mean this like in a resting, like sleeping, but you're resting in her in the sense of resting in God. That's the culmination, right? You're loving her, and you're united. But before that, you'd had to have desired her, and before that, you'd have to know her, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so Thomas is saying that's the order. First of all, the God has to be presented to us. The object of faith had to be presented to us. That's faith, by assenting to that, accepting it. And then, if you have the virtue of hope, you have a supernatural desire, which I would argue is something that's greatly missing in our culture today. Is just, I mean, like if you really desire heaven and you desire God, intimately, do you support abortion? I mean, do you run around the country setting buildings on fire or a number of other, or cheating on your wife, or I don't think you do, because you just you don't want to do anything to mess it up, right?
Right.
And so I just think there's a lack of hope. People just have lost hope. Why? Because they don't have faith. And ultimately, they don't have charity, okay? So does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, no, it does.
But then look at this last little tiny paragraph. It's really just one sentence. It says, but in the order of perfection, charity precedes faith and hope, because both faith and hope are quickened by charity and receive from charity their full complement as virtues. For thus charity is the mother and the root of all the virtues. So in this regard, he's saying, okay, if you think about like an ice cream sundae, to make a very kind of simple, you love an ice cream sundae, right? So what he's saying is the love of it is creating the desire for it, which it's kind of like it's like all in reverse. Like it's all everything is driven by love. Okay, so he's saying you can kind of in a way turn it all around and say love is what draws us to everything, right? And so the Beatles were right in saying all you need is love. Okay. So that's kind of all Thomas was getting at, is affirming the Beatles. Okay, let's. Okay, so the moral virtues, and we got to hurry here. Moral virtues observe the mean, right? So
Okay.
you have a virtue, and then there's typically two extremes. You can eat the right amount of food, or you can eat too little or too much, right? You can be modest in clothing, or you could be, dressed like, way too much or too little, right? So most of the moral virtues, there's an extreme. So he's saying here, do theological virtues observe the mean? Like, is there a middle, like where it's kind of like you can have too much of a theological virtue or too little? What do you think? Can you have too much or too little?
I don't think you can have too much.
Maybe you could have
But you
too
can
much of
definitely have too
one over the others. Maybe. That's my only thought. Is like if you had all hope but no faith, or something, or like very little. Does that make sense?
They're like disproportionate or something?
disproportionately.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Or just saying you only need love, but not. I don't know.
But all you need is love.
Yeah, I know. Never mind. The Beatles just proved me wrong.
See,
It's
look,
fine.
Scott Rogie is sending us all kinds of messages, and we're totally ignoring it.
I'm sorry, Scott.
he's okay. What do you say here?
I think it's when we were going over the thing.
The misunderstanding the question. That is why they are in that order. Okay, so
We were listing the order, but not listing why they were in the order. I think is the thing. Yeah.
Okay. So is he being critical of you guys, or just trying to explain what's going on?
I think he's trying to explain.
Oh,
What's going
okay.
on. Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you, Scott. Good to hear from you. All right. So basically, Thomas says here, the mean of a virtue depends on conformity with virtue's rule or measure. He's basically going to say, you can't love God too much because God exceeds everything about us anyway. So you can't kind of go beyond something that's already infinite, already perfect. But he said in the second paragraph, he says, but sometimes accidentally people can, like, let's say you love God so much that I'm going to go spend 16 hours a day in adoration while my kid starve,
Yeah.
or I have a job but I'm going to 5 masses a day and getting none of my work done.
Right.
So that in that way, because I love God so much, or
Right.
I have so much faith in God that I'm go kill everybody who doesn't, or or that's a little
That
bit
would not be good.
That's a little
That would,
bizarre.
yeah.
Okay, so sorry to end with that violent reference. I'm not going to do any of that. Okay,
No.
I promise. All right, that's the show for today, everybody. Thanks so much. We now wrap things up with something Sissel likes to introduce.
Yes,
right?
I do.
Okay.
All right. It is now time for that portion of the show where we give Dave Suma to think about, and he throws it right back at us, which was not originally part of the segment, but it is now.
Because turnabout is fair game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So who would like to go first? We have 2 questions for you, Dave. Just two.
Two total.
2 total.
Okay, you guys are working together.
Yes.
Yes, I'll
You
go
have.
All right.
You wanna
I'm
go
still
first?
impressed that Jonathan knew that the height of the tallest sunflower. I think it's all downhill from here, Jonathan, because that was pretty impressive.
You peaked.
All right. So this is a credit to Sissel for these questions. So what was the name of the castle that St. Thomas Aquinas was born in?
Rakaseca or something.
Oh.
Come on.
I got it. Oh yes.
Oh
Man.
I tried.
You
guys.
got to
I
live.
spent
You got
a
to
little-
live with that one for a week.
I spent 20 minutes on the internet. Okay, I was
Trying to
like
find that one?
trying to find something, and
You got to think outside the box.
I guess apparently.
Did you hear the one I did last week?
I didn't. No, I
you
didn't.
did.
I meant to go
Okay.
back
I
and
could
listen to it.
recycle it.
No.
But okay, so.
Do you want
okay,
me
yeah,
to
go
ask
ahead.
you? Okay.
I'm on a winning streak. Let's do it.
Now I'm like second guessing everything. But how old was St. Thomas
That's been a
Aquinas?
theme this whole show.
My confidence is
this-
broken. All right. How old was St. Thomas Aquinas when he entered the University of Naples?
Didn't we have this one before?
I don't think so.
Oh, if it was last week, I don't know. Sorry.
I'm going to say 26.
No.
Oh!
He
28.
wa- No. Down.
okay.
No.
1917.
According to this article I found that had quotes from a book in it, this was very, very young. He was
Okay.
10.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Because he was very intellectual, so he
Yeah, I
kind of
should've
advanced very
known.
quickly. So now, of course, I did not have time to fact check this, but it was from a book that was kind of like a biography of him that I found on the internet. So
10. So he's like one of those little prodigies.
Yes,
where...
and also the thing is, university I think is one of those terms that in different countries is used differently too. Because like in England or Canada, it's like you do college for 2 years after high school, which ends at like 15. So it's like it's different. It's hard.
I was thinking, and I should have known because that even by today's standards, some guy in college at 28, you'd be like, dude,
what have you been doing?
I know. And it's so in his college class, the professor was like, does anybody know this answer? Oh yes, Thomas in the back. Oh yeah, hi, professor.
It's like hi.
Yeah,
but
squeaky high voice.
He was in a lot of different schools. Like he did a lot of studying, so he probably was still in college, or university much later, and Yeah. But he started very young.
Didn't he ask what is God when he was 6 or something?
Yeah. He amazed. It was like they sent him off to a place to study, and he was asking his teachers, "What is God?" And it wasn't who is God, but he wanted what is God, because there is a difference, right? Like, who is Jonathan? What is Jonathan?
I'm really glad you took the first question, Jonathan.
Yeah. All right. So what I did last, I won't do this every week, but I thought it was kind of fun, is I kind of put you on a little competition.
Oh,
okay.
Great.
Last week I did the angel, the different types of angels, and they between you and Sam, I think you got 4 of them. But you didn't get 5, and we also did the cardinal sins, right?
Yeah.
Did we? Okay. So what I'm going to do, and so you're going to go first.
Yay.
And you got 10 seconds.
Oh.
And then as soon as you answer one,
Hitting
Jonathan.
all these rules.
And it's kind of unofficial.
Yes,
okay.
yeah.
But Diane, you got your sound effects ready? Okay. So then this is kind of easy. It's some kind of review. We got a few of them if you guys don't mind. Okay. A few of them. So we go boom, 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 boom. Okay.
Is it 10 seconds just me answering?
Yeah, and then he's got 10 seconds, and then and just do one at a time.
Oh, one.
Okay, cardinal virtues.
Oh, fortitude.
Okay, wait. Prudence.
See, he feels
the pressure.
He's feeling the pressure. Okay, fortitude, prudence,
temperance. I left this purposely for him because this is the one we forgot earlier.
The same one.
Justice.
Yeah.
All right.
Yay.
Okay. So, well, you're not off the. Can we do another one? Or
Sure.
You guys aren't like thoroughly exhausted yet, are you? Okay.
Brain's starting to go out.
All right, so we'll do one more,
Okay.
and then, and again, this is going to be review. Okay, so this is testing your short-term memory. You young whippersnappers, your short-term memory should be just great.
Definitely.
Okay, here we go. Intellectual virtues, starting with Jonathan.
Wisdom.
What was another one? Knowledge.
Temperance. That's not.
Oh. I just remembered another one.
I didn't have that.
Boom.
That's a little slow. That's all right.
I thought you were signaling don't do the
Oh
audio.
no! Like do it. Bomb him. Yeah.
Give him a bomb.
Okay, there we go.
I just
So now
remembered
for the win, like Family Feud.
Art.
Oh yes.
Yes.
And prudence and
prudence was
wisdom.
one. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, can we do it one more? This is gonna be fresh stuff.
Sure.
Okay, so this isn't review. This is
Like
the
geckos.
what's that?
You could do it for like your weigh a day thing.
Where
do geckos store?
All right, here we go. You don't have to do them in order, although there is an order. Okay.
Oh no, I don't like that.
All right, Diane, you ready? Okay, everybody playing at home? Okay, here we go. The 4 last things. What? Let's see. She starts. Okay, since you know one, why don't you go
for it
first?
So not in order?
Yeah, order would be nice, but
Okay,
not.
so death.
Okay, death. Wait. Okay, let's see if this will see. See, she stole from you, Family Feud style, so now you can steal back if you know them all.
Yeah.
Okay.
He might get to do this because my brain's kind of blanking.
Okay.
Wait, so the 4 last things, darn, my brain is just like not even like going to the right area. I'm like, the 4 last things, death? Wait, no, I have no idea.
Okay.
Death,
What?
judgments. Heaven and hell.
Okay,
All
I was
right.
going to say heaven and hell, but I was like, what's the fourth one?
Yeah, purgatory isn't one of them.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, oh no.
It's
I
not
should have just gone with my gut. I
That wasn't a
hesitated.
review, though. We haven't done that, have we?
Not today, though.
Not today.
Yeah, it might have
You're
been.
expecting us to remember things from beyond this last
You need to
hour?
remember
That's
the
not
3
short-term
main
memory.
themes of the Summa. I mean, come on, but hey, that's okay. All right. But hey, thanks for playing along.
Of course.
And I'm glad I got 1 out of 2, right?
Yep.
Okay. So
Yeah.
Thomas entered university at 10, and he was sent off to. Oh no, Roccaseco. Is that what it
Yes.
was? All right.
Born.
Or I can't confirm on the pronunciation, but that was,
Yeah, right. And then good thing for that. Okay. Are there any questions from those? Scott
don't
Rogie
think
said
that's
he is easily ignored. Love is laying, but faith comes first. Okay, that is why they are in that order. Okay, very good. All right, thanks everybody for playing along at home and watching. And we're going to have another one of these next week. Another topic of the Summa and some fun trivia and a way a day. And they're going to each bring 1 way a day. Okay. All right. Thanks everybody. God bless you. Have a
Bye.
great weekend.
Thanks for joining us for Back to the Father. And don't forget, the glory of God is the human person fully alive. If you have comments about the show, email Dave Palmer at grnonline.com.